at tech hosting and regular hosting today. All right. There we go. Great. And look at that. First time I'm spotlighting myself. That's interesting. All right. Welcome to Virtual Speakeasy. My name is Jack Rome, and I'm a grateful member here at Speakeasy Spiritual Community. Our mission is as follows. Speakeasy is a diverse and progressive spiritual community sharing a message of love and engaging in conversations that inspire creative expression and spiritual well-being. We honor the Divine Mother and follow the teachings of A Course in Miracles and the principles of love. We see you as a unique expression of love capable of divine embodiment. So, here at Speakeasy, truth is our passion, love is our religion, care is our currency, and of course, peace is our goal. We attempt to speak easily about tough and tender topics so that we can navigate life with greater wisdom and grace. We devote this service to the Divine Mother, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Buddha, and to all the holy names of God, to all saints and enlightened teachers, as well as their teachings, specifically the teachings of A Course in Miracles. So we welcome you and are so glad that you're here. We are a social media friendly community, so we invite you to check in on our Facebook platform, share our invites and events, and if you are watching this live stream on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We are a spiritual community with a global message, and we invite you to help share this message. So if you received a reminder text today and you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, just copy, paste, and text them the invite. It's super easy, and everyone likes to be invited. I know I do. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in the chat. The text link, you can easily just copy and paste it, whether you're on your phone or a computer. It's so great to be here with you this morning. Justine will be our host if she makes it, and if not, I'll just continue going on here. It's always fun to do this, so thanks so much. And if this is your first time, welcome. If this is your second time, welcome back. Our hope is that you make this your spiritual home. Our spiritual community is a place to connect. We'd love to be able to recognize you by name, so if you're comfortable, please add your name on your Zoom profile. And if you have any issues doing that, you can always direct message me in the chat and say, "Hey Jack, I'm having trouble changing my name. I want to make sure you know who I am." Feel free to let me know and I'll do what I can to help you out there. So before we get to the talk and community conversations, Mari D'Alessio will be sharing invitations and announcements, followed by Lou Martin leading us in prayer. And then we have the talk, the community offering, and then the conversation. In this conversation, we encourage you not to leave your brains, your beliefs, or your background at the door. We don't have all the answers, but we do definitely love the questions. I know I love the questions. So now that you have a roadmap about the flow of our gathering, I'll go ahead and pass to Mari for announcements.
Good day to all. We are a virtual spiritual community, and we offer daily classes and events on Zoom to support you through the week. Some of the highlights that I invite you to participate on this week: on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Central, you can join us for the study of A Course in Miracles textbook. This is led by Sherry Ransom, and it's open to anyone that's interested in learning a little bit more about the course or diving even deeper into the course. So even if you've never just checked out A Course in Miracles, but you're curious, just come on in and join us 4 p.m. Central on Tuesdays. Starting Monday, October 6th at 10 a.m. Central, you may have received some information on Facebook. We did a little bit of changes, and we're going to be offering the Artist's Way. It's going to be a 12-week course. We invite you to join us. Maureen and Jerome Imhoff are going to be leading that. Registration is now open. And for those that receive our newsletter, you will receive this week, probably tomorrow, all the details and information, but you will find the link in the chat and you can just get a little bit more details and start signing up for that. So reserve your spot today. Also, we are welcoming any new volunteers to serve during our Sunday service. So if you're interested in connecting with more people and getting to know more of the people within the community, join us for that. All of our classes and event details can be found in the chat, or you can always find them in our calendar of events or in the website, speakeasyspiritualcommunity.com. And I'll pass it to Lou.
Mari and Jack, thank you both. It's an honor to be here today to pray with you. I'm with my two teachers here, Maureen and Mia, and the course has meant so much to me. And I just want to recommend both of them to you if you're looking for greater love and wisdom. I cannot imagine anyone that would fit the bill than either of these ladies. So here's the quote today from the course itself. It says, "The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in them, but not of them. It is this power that keeps all things safe." And as we go through these great changes in our world right now, we know they're all intended for healing and for good. So go ahead and close your eyes, turn within. Let's take a deep breath together. Father, Mother God, indwelling holy presence, Lord God Almighty, great and perfect Spirit of love and light, we give this service to you and we dedicate ourselves wholly and completely to being instruments of peace, of love, of healing, of wisdom, of inspiration, of goodness, beauty, and truth. Father, Mother God, we ask you to use us this day for your divine purpose, that we may fulfill your will in this world, joyously and courageously. We bless this service. We bless this time together. We bless all that has brought us to this holy moment. And we say thank you. Thank you for this life. Thank you for this community. And thank you for this moment. For this and more than words will ever express, we remain thankful, grateful, humble, and available. We give thanks. We let it be. It is so. So it is. And together we say, Amen. 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 Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lou. All right. So it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Maureen Muldoon. So Maureen, of course, is the founder and spiritual director for Speakeasy, as well as an international speaker, writer, storyteller, and songbird who believes in the miraculous power of storytelling for healing and transformation. And in a moment, I'll go ahead and post the links in her bio in the chat as well for you to see. But in the meantime, I'll pass to you, Maureen. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jack. You were literally a jack of all trades today. How many hats can we put on Jack?
I'll wear them. I don't have any hair, so I can do it.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Lou. Lou, you're our teacher for sure. So we're all each other's teachers and grateful for it. So today, and thanks for that prayer, Lou. That was like spot on. There is a power in the world that is not of the world that holds you in its graces. And that's, funny enough, what we're talking about today. We're talking about the personal and impersonal nature of God. So good morning and welcome to this conversation on the Great Exchange. In the course, it says that when we move from fear, we give up everything for nothing, which is what I would call not a great exchange. I wouldn't even call it a good exchange. But when we reverse our thinking, we give up nothing for everything. We give up our littleness. We give up our addiction to suffering. We give up our limitations. We give up our preferences, our agendas, our wants, our wills, and we return to love. But how does that actually work? When we do this, two ways. We do this through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, or Holy Communion with the divine. When we say, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? We humble ourselves to the plan of God. And then, and this is the part the ego really doesn't like, we also humble ourselves to the requests of our brother, which is pretty radical. In chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, it says, recognize what does not matter. And if your brother asks you for something outrageous, do it because it doesn't matter. Refuse, and your opposition establishes that it does matter to you, and it is only you, therefore, who made the request outrageous. Isn't that interesting? I think that's so interesting. And it goes on to say, and every request of your brother is for you. Every request of your brother is for you. Now I mean, that's radical. This is the reason why most people throw this book across the room. He goes on to say, why would you insist on denying him? For to do so is to deny yourself and impoverish both. So I don't think they use these words, willy-nilly. I think the word impoverished is a specific use of the word, because I feel like so many people in the world suffer from this experience of impoverished nature. It even goes on to say, he is asking for salvation, and so are you. Poverty is not of the ego and never of God. No outrageous request can be made of one who recognizes what is valuable and wants to accept nothing else. So the questions are, what do you value? And do you accept this? And do you offer that which you value? Do you offer it to the world? And do you protect what you value by giving it away? And that's how the Course teaches us about this state that belies the idea of impoverishment and poverty. There's this place on the island that I now live, and it's called the Exchange. And I think it was part of the reason I was inspired to talk about the Great Exchange. The thing about the Exchange is you can bring anything that is no longer being loved by you, but still has life in it. And you can take anything that you might need at the Exchange. And it's kind of this magical place that works on what we call a gift economy, where people are just giving and receiving. It's gorgeous. And I have found some true gems at this place. However, the idea is not merely about just acquiring more. That's not it. It's about actually releasing what no longer serves us. And this is the truth with how we navigate these concepts of God too. Because if we focus on getting, we will become just these sort of black holes and hoarders. Getting is of the ego. You are not in that realm anymore. We're not in that realm. None of us are. We are now at the consciousness of the spider, who is weaving its webs and is then letting the world deliver its good. You are at the consciousness where you don't need to get anything. You can just allow. You can just let. You have proven this, and you will prove it again and again. And you can prove it in all areas of your life. And there's something so lovely about recognizing this ebb and flow, this inhale and exhale. I think so for most of us, the letting go can be rather hard. Right now, we're dismantling a whole house of, trinkets and treasures over a couple of decades. And we have our kids' baby pictures, and we have all of these, things that we've made a great meaning of it. And it's really like, nobody wants this. You know what I mean? Like, we really don't need all of these things. But yet letting go, like, do we really let it go? It feels like there's a disloyalty involved. So beautiful thing is that we're in this time of, pre-fall, where in a week or so, the trees are going to give us a master class on letting go. Most people hang on to things out of fear of scarcity. We do this with things, but we also do this with thoughts. And that's more important than even the things. We get so pinned in by our own thinking, and we build these cages with our wants and with our will. I love this. I hate that. I wish this were different. I wish this was here. I wish this wasn't here. And all of that nonsense, and it is just nonsense, constricts us. And we wonder why we have agitation as opposed to liberation, because we're still working from our own little will, which is, this little will has to be based on the scarcity principle, lack mentality, on getting. Jesus once said, and I think this is, again, as same as it's radical in A Course in Miracles, I think his teachings were always radical. To those who have, more will be given. To those who, and they will have abundance. So to those who have, more will be given, and they will have abundance. To those who have not, even the little they have will be taken away. When I first heard that saying, I was like, damn, that's harsh, man. It feels punitive. It feels unfair. Like, why would they take away when someone has so little? But he's not describing God's judgment or anger or measuring cups. What he's describing is the law of mind. If you believe that you have, your mind and your heart align with abundance. You notice your blessings. You nurture what's been given. You share freely. Life multiplies when you value it. But if you believe that you'll have nothing, if your mind is steeped in this fear and this guilt and this unworthiness, then life seems to confirm that scarcity. It's not a punishment. It's just a principle. And principles can't be broken. They work everywhere equally. So even when you do have, you can feel, if you're in that scarcity mindset of getting, you can still feel like even the little you have is slipping away. Now, Jesus taught us, it's done unto you as you believe. And this is the essence of the grand exchange, exchanging your little fears for grand love. It tells us in the Course, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, and herein lies the peace of God. And when we reach the point that nothing real can be threatened, we can experience a sense of well-being that goes beyond even getting and giving, that's just centered in peace. It doesn't mean that you are going to have everything. That's not what this is about. It just means that you no longer experience lack in any form. All that you need is given to you. The ego's eyes will tell you that this is not enough, or it doesn't look right, or it doesn't feel right. Do not allow your senses to mock the generosity of God, because you don't know your own best interest, and God delights in bringing you both laughter and beauty as surely as she delights in bringing you, wrinkles in wiry and warded ways. It's not the form that should inform us, but we should develop the consciousness that sees all things as good and beautiful and holy. And that's how we create that which is good and beautiful and holy. We give our nod to it. So I'll let you catch up a minute with a little breath there. There's lesson 189, and it says, there's a light in the world that you cannot perceive, and with its eyes you will not see this light, for you are blinded by the world, yet you have eyes to see it. It is there for you to look upon. It is not placed in you to be kept hidden from your sight. This light is a reflection of the thought we practice now, to feel, not to think, but to feel the love of God within you now, to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. I love that, again, no mistakes. They're using the word charity. Charity comes from a soul that understands there is no lack. It goes on to say, who could fear? Who could fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you. It rejoices that you came. It sings your praise. It keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. Now, it might not look that way, but it's not asking you to judge with your eyes. It's asking you to feel. It goes on to say, it offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day. It watches through the night as silent guardians of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you. It protects the light in you, which it sees its own, and it offers you its flowers and its snow in thankfulness for your benevolence. So we're given flowers and we're given snow. And you might be somebody who says, I don't like snow. When I'm up here on the island, people are like, Maureen, the lake is going to freeze over, the boats are going to stop running, and you're going to be stuck in an island that's like inches deep in snow. And some people say that like you're gonna die, and other people say that like you are going to love it. And it's so interesting to watch the difference. So many people would tell me, I think winter is our best season. It's our best kept secret. So we have a hierarchy of preferences, though, don't we? And we want to look at that hierarchy of preferences because it is always based on the senses, and the senses lie to us. They're not the truth. They're only part of the story. There's a great parable called The Velveteen Rabbit. And it's this sweet story about this rabbit who's uncertain of his worth, and he's comparing himself to like shinier mechanical toys. But when he's loved and truly loved, in the book, it says he becomes real. The skin horse tells him, like, real isn't what you're made of. It's not how you look. It's the thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a long, long time. And then you become real. And real is something that sometimes looks worn out and fur rubbed off and seams busting loose. And yet its beauty is undeniable. And so we want to feel into this beautiful world. We don't want to judge it from, the headlines and, the stories or the furrowed brows of our brothers. You get to be the light of the world. The world of appearances, will ebb and flow. This is the sands of time. Toys break down, bodies age, relationships shift. That's the unreal. But the love that makes you real, that's the eternal. It can't be threatened and it can't be undone. So when the Course says nothing real can be threatened, it's pointing us back to the truth. You're not the fading. You're not the temporal. You are the beloved. You are the eternal. You're the one made real by love itself. So this exchange at first may feel scary because we struggle with, among other things, we struggle with the question of this love. It feels very ephemeral. And we use, often in spiritual practices, we use what Ernest Holmes would call impersonal law. But we also, we have the ability, and we should have the willingness to actually also practice intimate personal relationship. So how do these two things work together? How does love, this impersonal law, also live within the intimate personal relationships? Our personal wants and desires and fears and expectations seem to be motivated by our ego, and we make meaning out of them when we say those things like, I want this and I don't want that, I like this and I don't like that. And these can be a bit of separative and egotistic demands, instead of allowing God to move through us and to move for us. And the thing is that the Course asks us to work with specificity. So this feels like it's two different things. Like, how do we work with specificity? I like this, I don't like that. And also say it doesn't matter, right? How do those two things come together? Is God personal without specificity, or is God impersonal and just law? And can we hold these two opposing ideas without canceling one of them out? Because the answer is God is both, and we deserve the whole aspects of God. Love is impersonal in its nature. Like gravity, love just is. It's the back of all things. It's the everywhere. It's the everything. It's consistent. It never withholds. It doesn't pick and choose. A Course in Miracles calls it the condition of heaven. The condition of heaven, which means that it isn't subject to whims or to favoritism. It doesn't have a hierarchy. And this is what the Bible says. It says God causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good. That's law. It shines its rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. That's law. That's not personal. However, love is also personal in its expression, right? When that boundless, ephemeral, eternal love flows through you, it takes on your hands. It takes on your voice. It takes on your presence. Jesus' healing wasn't some impersonal, magic trick. He was God's love made manifest, meeting people exactly where they were in their hunger, in their grief, in their celebration, in their fear. That's why it felt so intimate and so personal, as it should. You could say the eternal becomes the specific when it passes through you. The eternal becomes the specific when it passes through me. The eternal becomes the specific when it passes through us. So we are asked to work with the specific, and also the idea that it doesn't matter. So no wonder this this book is hard for mere mortals like us to try and navigate. The grand exchange is where the impersonal and the personal live in harmony together. We surrender our small selves with its striving and with its control and with its self-projections into the larger love that's both impersonal, never changing, and the personal flowing through us. And we stop trying to manage how love should look, and we become just simply an extension. And that's why miracles are never private. They bless everyone all the time. And Jesus uses this impersonal law of love to get personal with us. His miracles were never just they were always very specific. I mean, they turning water into wine for his mom. I mean, can you get more specific than that? Can you get more personal? Like a son's love for his mom's love for wine. I mean, these are very personal things. He didn't say, I don't think so, Mom. I think you had enough. You're cut off. No more wine for you. The truth is, I actually love this story about Jesus and Mary because I was once a mother who loved her wine, and now I'm a recovering alcoholic. So miracles, miracles. But really, I love the story because Jesus is so generous that he shows us his resistance. And his mother asks him for wine, and he reacts as if it is an outrageous request, just like the Course tells us not to do. He responds to her by saying, "Woman, get you behind me. It's not my time. This is not going to happen." He, like we, fear our own greatness. Now, maybe it wasn't wine that Mary really wanted. Maybe that was just the classroom, right? Maybe it was just the desire that she might have had to wake her son up to his magnitude. You can almost hear her saying, "Look, kid, this is small potatoes here. Give me a glass of wine. You're up for raising people from the dead. You're going to feed the magnitudes. You got to get over this illusion of littleness so that you can actually move into who you're really here to be." Often that which agitates us, often those outrageous invitations from friends or families are actually our finest teachers. When any place that we say, "No, I'm not doing that," that can actually be a hidden doorway to a greater good that you're refusing or that your ego is not letting you see. And we can go blind. The teacher beckons us to let go of these blocks that bind us so that we can touch the hem of our own divine inheritance and think of all the ways you might be unconsciously blocking that. Because when we receive our divine inheritance, we can't help but become this overflow of goodness that just happens through us. Giving is the demonstration of having. And when you recognize you have everything, there's only giving can happen from that. That's why we just become extensions of God's love. We don't have to try and extend. To those who have, more is given. So some ways to practice giving. If you think "Oh, this is triggering me, I don't have any specific thing," then give where you have. Give your attention and give it fully. Listen deeply to somebody without interrupting them. Give your presence, give your time, volunteer, help a neighbor. This morning, my husband made scones, and then he invited me to go around to different neighbors and drop them off. I was like, God, okay. A little bit of me was like, man, get me behind me. I don't got time for this. I got to write a sermon. But then I would have lost the opportunity of seeing people receive something. What a lovely thing. It's not just about, it's the greatest gift is not always about getting, it's giving. But anyway, give your skills. Share what you know, think about what you know, and think about somebody who could use that skill and call them up and say, "Hey, I know you've been wanting to learn the piano. I know that you've been wanting to learn how to knit. I know that you wanted to learn how to do, a marketing skill. I could help you with that." Remember, Maury and I, we'd sit down every Thursday and we would sort of teach each other the things that we learned about WordPress. And it was so fun. It was so fun. Give your kindness, small acts, kind words, holding open doors. Just really activate when the trees start to give their leaves to the earth. Think about every leaf that falls. How can I give something? Give forgiveness, release resentments and your judgments. Of course, you know this, but it's always good to repeat it. Give your imagination. I often find myself seeing images for people, and it's so nice to be able to share those images, those visions. I happen to be a very powerful vision caster because when I see somebody, I can see the highest good for them. If I were to hold that back, it might not be so helpful. But sometimes when I do give it to them, they're like, "Oh, no, that's not me. I could never do that." And so we have that Jesus scenario again. It's like, "No, don't tell me that. Get ye behind me. It's not my time." Giving and receiving is one and the same. And this is also in the St. Francis prayer. Every act of giving, big or small, triggers the grand exchange. This is the wisdom of every great teaching and every great path. Buddha speaks of releasing attachment. The Bhagavad Gita reminds us to surrender the fruits of our labor. Ernest Holmes says, life reflects back at you. It's just an echo. And Martin Luther King asks us again and again, what are we doing for others? So, this is what Jesus says. It's done unto you as you believe. If you think I don't have, you will have less. He's not handing us a burden of guilt. He's offering us a gift of responsibility. He's reminding us that there is an inner position, a possibility, a posture, our expectations kind of set the stage of what we allow to flow into our lives. Ernest Holmes put it this way. He said, we are continuously affirming either abundance or lack, continuously, prosperity or poverty, health or sickness. And you get into certain circles and it's just like a wound fest. Everybody's telling you what's broken, what needs to be healed. And it's like, what? How did this pass? Is like, tell me something I want to know. You know what I mean? Be brave enough to brag a little bit. I can handle it. So I want to close with this. I want to tell you about the exchange, just because I love the exchange, and maybe you'll have an exchange in your neighborhood. I think the exchange works really well on our island because everything that gets on the island has to stay on the island or get off the island through going on a ferry. So if you can circulate the good that's here, it's better than bringing more stuff to the island. So one day I had this idea that I wanted rattan furniture, and I just had it in my claw that this is what I needed. And I was volunteering at the exchange, and this house went up for sale, and the person that owned it said, like, I'm getting rid of everything in the house. Just come and take it all. And I was volunteering that day. So I was like, oh, I'm going to miss this opportunity. Such a hoarder. And I was like, Will, you go to that house and if there's a rattan furniture, you go get that rattan furniture. So anyway, he goes over to the house. Meanwhile, I go to my volunteer position. And I'm standing there at the exchange, and this woman pulls up in this truck, and she says to the lady who's my boss, she says, do you guys accept furniture? And we don't. We just accept small household goods and clothing. And the woman says, no, we don't. And she says, oh, because I got all this rattan furniture in the back of my truck. I was like, what the what? I go, I accept furniture. She gently piled it all in my back of my car. I went home that day with a full set of rattan furniture. I mean, that's so funny, right? I mean, I hope that these stories delight you because God doesn't play favorites. So the next thing I was thinking of was that I needed a big down comforter because it gets cold up here. And I was working at the exchange, and I swear to God, this woman walks in with this brand new down comforter. And she looked really bougie too. And I was like, what's that? And she goes, well, my mom just bought it for me, but I'm allergic to goose. I was like, I'm not. Put it in my car. I took it home. And then this past fall or spring, I went to New York with my daughter, Billy, and I had this scarf on. And I love this scarf. And I let her wear it, and it looked so good on her. And I was like, oh, I should give her this scarf. But I didn't. I was like, I really love this scarf so much, I'm going to keep it to myself. Again, I'm a self-professed hoarder. I'm sorry. I'm learning, I'm growing, but I held on to the scarf. But here's the thing. I was like, I'm going to buy her one of these scarves for Christmas. I know the brand. I'm going to go get it for Christmas. I didn't do it, but I went to the exchange the other day, and I'm talking with my friend. I'm blah, blah, blah. And I put my hand down on the counter, and I look down. It's kind of soft. I pick it up. It's the same exact scarf with the tags on it. I'm like, I just went Christmas shopping. So they're examples. They're examples of the idea of it's done unto you as you believe. And do you believe that you are in the realm of receiving? Could this be possible for you? If you see someone demonstrate it, it becomes more possible. I still do. I have my own teachers. Robert Holden was sitting next to him in London, and we got treated to this big bougie meal, and I could have anything on the menu. And I saw the lobster, and I was like, I'm going to have lobster, except maybe a good girl doesn't order the most expensive thing on the menu. So I didn't. I ordered something different. But Robert, my teacher, he orders the lobster, and I'm sitting next to him watching him eat this lobster. Not only that, but he ordered 2 desserts, not 1, but 2. Okay. I was like, this man knows how to live. And he looks over at me with his exquisite consciousness and his crisp little English accent. And he says, we work for God. We show up to the best of our ability on the days that we work. And we serve the plan of God. And then we allow ourselves to be served by God. And by God serves us up really well. He didn't actually say all that. That's just what I heard in my mind. I think he said something more like, these are the moments we get to enjoy because we've done the work. That's what he did. These are the moments we get to enjoy. So this is the day the Lord has made for you to rejoice and be glad. Your good is at hand. You may think that you have a crown of thorns, but maybe you just need to lift your chin a little bit and see that you actually have a banquet of roses, and really see how well God loves you personally. Are you willing to let God get personal with you? Because God knows you, offers you its flowers and its snow. Now, here's the thing. You can see the sunny days with the same faith that you see the shit storms. You get to do that. Can you imagine and welcome the care with the catastrophes? Can you see all things as equal? Can you say, no matter what's being served up, it's for me? Because that is what's going to change your victim story into your victory story. There is nothing that comes to you unbidden. This theory, this law, it's not it it's across the board. Like, there's no exceptions to it. That's what makes a law, is that there's no exceptions. So you either see all things as good and beautiful and holy, or you continue to move from a divided mind. And that's actually the grand exchange. You're exchanging this little, realms of victimhood or fear or scarcity or the world's going to hell in a handbasket for heaven. That's where we're at right now. That's the grand exchange. And that's the word.
Wow. Oh my goodness. The grand exchange. Thank you, Maureen. So excited to get into the conversation. I have like notes on my little sticky notes here. Brought up so much. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and pass to Mari for the community offering.
Yes, looking forward to the conversation for sure. So stick around. Speakeasy is a non-for-profit virtual spiritual community, and we exist on the generosity of our community members. We thank you for playing your part and for taking the opportunity to make a donation for today's daily bread. Your generous donations help us to bring spiritual leaders, artists, and speakers to Sunday service and to keep these important conversations going. As you were spiritually fed by today's conversation, I invite you to just go within and then see what is yours to give. No gift is too small. All your contributions are tax deductible here in the United States. You will find the link in the chat, or you can always go to speakeasyspiritualcommunity.com, and at the top, just find the tab that says give. Thank you.
Thanks, Mari.
Thanks, Mari. Awesome. Okay. All right. Here we go. So now it's time for the truly unique experience of Speakeasy Sunday Service, our community conversation. This is where we invite you to speak easily, of course, find your voice, your truth, and share your thoughts, inspirations, awareness, and your questions in community. When you feel called to share a question or a comment, share anything, please raise your virtual hand, which is located in the Reactions tab at the bottom of your screen. So if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom window, you should see a little participants, a little chat, and then there's like a heart or something that says react. That's how you can find that raise hand function. If you have any issues, of course, you can direct message me about it and I'll help you out there. Please also note to leave your video on when doing so. We want to know and see you. That said, also, I've noticed that if your video is off, I'm not able to spotlight you. So that's also helpful just for the conversation if you can put your video on there. So I can see Hurricane Jones is already ready to go. So let's go ahead and bring you up. Thanks.
Jane Jones. Love that.
Let me know if you have any trouble unmuting. There you go. Perfect.
Hey guys, hello. Um, trying to be bold right now. Um, so I was invited. I don't know if you guys know who Alana is, but that is my accountability partner. We also do like this life coaching group thing together like every other Tuesday. But I just been on this journey trying to find a deeper connection to God, but not in the ways that I was like kind of raised in like this as a black man, like raised in like Christianity and stuff like that. And it was so different for me because I always felt like pushed away and stuff like that.
Mm.
Like so many questions, but I'm gonna be considerate of the time and stuff like that.
Mm.
How do you guys like view like I don't know, because like for me, like I'm a gay black man and like I am still finding myself on this journey, but like, how do you guys view that portion?
Hmm. Hey, Hurricane. I'm so glad you're here and I'm so glad you're brave. How we view that? We view that as a personified version of God. That's how we view that. You know, we view that as equally holy in all ways for all days. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. God has said, this is good. I created hurricane and it's good. And we do not wrestle with God. My son is transgender, and many people in the community are in the LGBTQ, um, club. And I think you're among our bravest. So you don't have to try and be brave. You've already proven your bravery.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I'd love to hear what Jack has to say, because
Sure. Yeah. Well, Hurricane, so I definitely echo everything Maureen said. And not sure, I was kind of getting a sense of kind of where you're coming from with it as far as maybe your understanding of God and what it means to you, what a spiritual practice means to you. But I can say for sure at Speakeasy and in sort of the surrounding communities, it's what Maureen is saying. It's, God is all loving, and that, love is the defining characteristic. If we're going to speak about God in form, which of course we have to, in this case, um, it's just love embodied. And so, there are plenty of institutions that will try to take that love and then define it in terms that make them comfortable. But that's a reflection of their egos, not a reflection of God, not a reflection of true spirituality. And so, I'm relatively new member of the community. Maybe it's been 6, 7, 8 months or so, but I can say for sure, this community is oriented toward how can we be in as close access to that love as possible. When we speak about God, when we share, when we're inclusive, like this is from my experience, this is what it's like to be in community where we
Yeah.
are oriented toward that. We're not oriented toward how are we going to decide what God and love means for human beings. That's not for us to decide. The best that we can do is open ourselves as in our holiness, like literally be holes for God's love and have that, pour through. So thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I think a lot of us are kind of wrestle with that too, and that's kind of why we're here, actually.
yeah. And you know what? The best way to face a fear is to ask a question. And so that is a great thing to do, is to ask a question, because yeah, I've been in communities where like everyone's welcome, but actually they're not. And it's like, okay, everyone under this umbrella are welcome. So it's important to ask that. And so I appreciate your question.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
hope you come back.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. All right. Brenda Maria, hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi
Thank
there.
you. I'm so moved by Hurricane. That was just so beautiful, and yeah, your beautiful response. Um, yeah, I just want to share a little story, and if you're on my call this morning, bear with me if you've heard this. Um,
The Course in Miracles repeats itself over and over and over again.
it
So we're
does,
allowed.
it does, yeah. So as I shared earlier, I'm here on the island of Iona, an island off the coast of Scotland. And, you know, I came here knowing that all I needed to do was be open. I had no sort of mission as such. I knew nothing about St. Columba, still don't actually. Um, but just this notion of just coming and being open and seeing where Spirit would lead me. And as you know, Course in Miracles has that beautiful prayer, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say and to whom? And so yesterday, my heart was led into this hotel to have afternoon tea. And I'm sitting and I just want to share one other thing. That morning, I took a bracelet off my wrist that I've worn for 2 years because Spirit said, leave it here. And I did. I left it on my locker and I went out. And anyway, I'm sitting in this hotel having my tea, and I hear these lovely Spanish voices, or so I thought. And so, being the gregarious person that I am, I said, "Hey, I was in Spain last week," and whatever. And they said, "Oh, we're from Mexico." I was like, oh, "Okay, I wasn't in Mexico last week." So we ended up chatting anyway, and one woman like really got engaged with me and started talking about music when she heard I was from Ireland. She was like, "I love the Cranberries," and I was like, "Well, they're from Limerick, and I'm from Limerick," and anyway, it was this lovely exchange. And then she looked at me and she took my two hands and she said, "Can you receive?" And I said, "I believe so." Oh, no, sorry, I'm missing a bit. So she said, "Have you been to Mexico?" And I said, "No, but I would love to go see the Lady of Guadalupe, Our Lady of Guadalupe." And she said, "Can you receive?" As she held my hands. And I said, "Yes, I think so." And she proceeded to take off her wrist this very beautiful bracelet that she got at Our Lady of Guadalupe. And she placed it on my wrist, almost like a wedding ring, if that, just with such care and tenderness.
Yes.
And she said, "I don't wear this, but I carry it around with me." But she said, "Spirit told me this morning that I was to wear the bracelet." And she said, "Now I know why." And of course, then I went to, this place of, oh, what can I give her? What can I give her? And I was looking at my rings. I was like, no, 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 no. And then I realized I had this bracelet that I had got at the Mary Magdalene cave at the south of France. And so I gave her my bracelet. But what was really interesting was she proceeded to give me then another bracelet that she had made. And I thought, shit, this has to stop or we'll be naked soon, because I could feel, oh no, do I need to give her something else? And that was the point actually where I realized, can I just receive?
Unconditionally.
Just unconditionally receive this gift of love.
Yes.
And yeah, I have to say I'm so full here, and I'm also experiencing, I'm meeting people from so many different walks of life in terms of their spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for the Course in Miracles, because it has taken me to a place so beyond ideas of right and wrong doing. Because, there are moments where I'm curious. I met somebody last night and I looked up their religion straight away afterwards, and I went, tick, 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 tick. Yeah, I like all that. And then I went, oh, don't like that bit. And then I went, oh, and I laughed at myself because of the hilarity of, where mind can go, because the woman was God, that walks that path. And I know that because of A Course in Miracles.
Right.
I know it.
Right.
No?
Yes.
I don't just think it, I know it.
Yeah. And it's like, can we receive everyone exactly as is without having to, like I'm reminded of my son Ryan, when my mother-in-law was, it's not a great story about my mother-in-law, so I forgive myself for telling it, but when she said, "Listen, you're always going to be my granddaughter. I will never accept you as my grandson." And I was like, oh my goodness. It's actually not a bad story about her, because the truth is she was telling her truth. And my son looked at her and said, okay. And then later when I asked him about it, said, I told her my truth and she told me hers. And that's all there was. And I was like, right, this is that woman's truth. I'm not here to judge her. I can tell her my truth. She can tell me her truth. And c'est la vie, I'm not here to judge her. But I could look at her gifts and not her, my judgments on her. So yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
It's a big, beautiful class.
Thank you. And it's so lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you here.
Thanks. Sean Elizabeth B., I see you got your hand raised.
Yes, I really enjoyed what Maureen had said, especially about how nothing real can be threatened. I think that lately I've had a lot of sort of negative thoughts, and they keep coming up, and I And I've been trying to think of ways to release them. So I've recently started to realize I have to replace those thoughts or something like that. So I remember seeing this beautiful film about the return of the giants of blue wells. And so every time I've been having these negative thoughts, I've been thinking of blue wells,
Yeah.
and that's helped.
Yeah.
But I thought if anyone else has any
Mhm.
ideas, that would be great.
Well, first of all, you're sharing that begins to bring it to the light. And it's so brave of you that you brought it to the light. I wouldn't be surprised if you just don't even have this problem because you're so willing to just look at it, you know? And what I wanted to say to you was like when you seem to be pinned in by fears, a really good tool is service. So like if you just say, I feel terrible, let me call a friend who probably feels terrible and let me be there just to listen. Or let me see where I can hold the door open for someone. Let me, esteemable acts build self-esteem. And when you recognize who you are, nothing can, you don't have to fear anything. Now, I'm not saying that today you're there right now and I don't want to push you off the cliff, but little steps, gratitude and little steps of service. But here's the great news. You're being of service right now. You're sharing that which frightens you. It's a universal disease. There's probably 10 other people here who are like, man, that's really brave of her. Like, I'm so glad she said that because I don't actually know how to get out of this tight spot. And now she's opening up the conversation and I'm going to learn from this. So you're already moving in the right and beautiful direction. I feel like if you noticed, you could probably even feel that. I mean, yeah, it brings up tears because you're close to the water, but it also kind of, I think you're going to leave here feeling a greater degree of commitment toward that which actually serves your well-being, and these thoughts do not serve our well-being. So one tool that I also use is when I have had those obsessive thoughts of pain or suffering, for me, it was always related to my children. Like they're going to be abducted. I don't know why, when we had the luxury of caring for things that weren't like world catastrophes, it was just about our kids being abducted. I would say to my mind, I would say, thank you, mind. You are so creative. That is a very creative and morbid thought. And if I was in the business of writing horror movies, man, you would make me some money. But I'm not in the business of writing horror movies. I'm in the business of writing love songs and love stories. So I'm going to redirect you towards what your actual purpose is because I reign my mind. My mind does not reign me. So you have to actively not just fill it with positive thoughts, because if you have negative thoughts, it will fall off like a rain on a raincoat. You have to look at those negative thoughts, thank them, and then excuse them, show them where the door is, and then retrain your mind towards the positive. And that's not the last step. The last step is to let go of your thinking so that you can just receive of love. But there you are. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you.
Wait, one second. I bet Jack has something to say.
Yeah. Well, I just like Maureen said, I really resonate with a lot of what you shared. And if I could share, there's one practice that my partner Alex is here. She'll remember me sharing this, but as part of that, looking at it, like Maureen was saying, rather than just trying to fill yourself with positive thoughts and not looking at the obsessive thoughts, negative thoughts, whatever it might be. Instead, what you can do as part of that looking at is, yeah, of course, just seeing it for what it is, but then you can do something in the mind to transform it. So for me, visualizing these thoughts, particularly for me, it's like trying to prepare for any possible situation that something's going to go wrong or I have to explain myself in some situation. And I imagine them as like these little puppies that are coming up to me. And all they want is to be pet. And like when a dog like jumps on us, it can be a lot and kind of frightening, but the dog just wants love. That's really what it wants. I was just dog sitting this weekend and this dog is a huge dog, but he is the sweetest. And I think if we can treat these things that are whether it's frightening or upsetting, whatever it might be, as like these little puppies that are coming up to us, or just little dogs coming up to us and asking to be pet. And we say, thank you for coming up and asking to be loved. That's something that's been really helpful to me. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you for both of your feedback and insights. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Look, it's Justine.
Look, it's Justine.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. First of all, please accept my apologies and amends. When I got home from a very long 2 days, I looked in my WhatsApp. I'm like, am I supposed to host tomorrow? And I see nothing from Bella. And she had texted me a long time ago, my regular text. I apologize. I am, anyway, so enough of that. Um, I love this, Maureen. And, you know, I think one of the things that is important to have these experiences is to have space for them. And you are a creator of that space for so many of us. And I'm going to share a little story of a miracle that completely happened to me recently, where I was creating space, but I really didn't know why I was creating the space. I had an event about a week and a half ago, and I was going into it. It was for a local group I'm helping form, and my mission was to maybe raise a little bit of money for a trip I'm going to Kenya to bring to pursue menstrual equity, which is something I did about a year ago. But I was going into this like, I'm going to Kenya in 3 weeks. I don't have any of the things I need. I don't have reusable pads. I don't have. So what am I'm coming up empty handed. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to do while I'm there? I mean, I'm going, that's great. But so that was my statement from the stage. I asked a lot of people to come. They brought other people. This man walked up to me, a friend of a friend, and said, "You have to call this woman. Her name is Christine. She has menstrual cups. She's doing what you're doing. It's very difficult, blah, 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 blah." I call her. So then he calls me the next day, "Have you called her?" So okay, I'll call her. I'll text her. She texts me back. She's like, "I'm in the ER getting my appendix out." It's like, oh my gosh, let's not worry about this right now. She's like, no, 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 I really need to talk to you. So the next day she calls me and says she has this organization called couldyou.org. They are already in Kenya. They have menstrual cups. She has made incredible waves. I'm talking this close to massive government funding. She explains to me that how massive this is, that 11% of girls go to secondary school and 1% go to college. And this equates 30 to 40 trillion dollars of income that is lost globally. And she gives me, and I'm going to San Diego on Friday. And I was also like, why am I doing this event? All falls into place. I meet her. I introduce her to the person that's going on the Kenya trip that's taking us. We have 500 menstrual cups in my car. She's connecting me to all these people in country that train. So we're not just going to be, and what does she need more than anything is media. And I'm already like calendared to be on Good Morning Kenya, and David's telling me I'm going to meet the Kelly Ripa of Kenya. And now I have my mission. Why? And all of these things happened because of a space that was created where a word was spoken and somebody heard it and connected me to somebody else. And I feel like everything aligned this week in a way that I felt like I was doing things without purpose, but really all along I was doing things with purpose. And I want to thank you for bringing this up because you're a space creator and we get to speak things here that get heard, like Mia's beautiful story, which I can just imagine. I'm looking at my bracelets right now and one fell off recently. And just thank you for giving me the space to share that, because I am so over the moon that I get to take these menstrual cups and this mission back to Africa, where and I feel like it's happening. Things are happening.
Thanks, Justine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Hurricane had another question. I think we answered it in the chat. And I think it'd be fun to do a little practice right now before we close out. And I think we have somebody who's praying at the end. Or do we have another song?
Well, Lou, I think, had to drop off. He was going to say a prayer, but if he comes back, we'll pass to him. And if not, we could maybe end with this practice.
Yeah, let's just end with this practice. I think it might be helpful. Hurricane was asking, do you consider yourself Christian? I don't know. This is my answer. I don't know. I don't, and I do. I think I am that I am, right? Right. So I am not that, I am that. I don't know that that would be an okay response for somebody who's actually Christian. Like, I think you have to jump through a specific hoop and say, Jesus is my savior. Jesus is my brother. In the Course in Miracles, we talk of Jesus as our brother. And he says, this and greater things shall you do. And he says in the Course, forget this book, forget this, forget all of this, just come with holy, empty hands into your God. Religions can be filters that make it hard for us to get to God. Religions can be filters that make it easy for us to get to God. But so if you're using religion as a way to get closer to God, call it holy. If you're using a religion to keep yourself or anyone else from God, call it useless. Now, I don't know, Jack, what would you say? We get all the questions today.
Yeah, I love that. I just also want to be responsive to Hurricane in the chat. Um, totally get what you're saying, not resonating with dogmatic practices. Um, and as far as the trying to figure things out on your spiritual journey, I think one thing that you come to see, and maybe this is just me, but is that rather than you figuring things out, love starts to figure you out, and you kind of just you're like spread out. It's like you're stretched out, and all the gunk and stuff that's come up from unjust experiences or whatever it is kind of gets released by just love, and it kind of does its work on you. But one thing about the dogmatic practices is, I think a lot of the time when we think about being spiritual and kind of like what Maureen is talking about, I think perhaps dogmatic practices are these structures that were built to hold. And I see you're drinking maybe tea or coffee. Like, if you think of like spirituality and love is like that drink that you're drinking, whether it's tea or coffee or whatever, religious practices are the cup that was made to hold it. And people at the time thought that'll be really helpful. I'll be able to hold this. I'll have rituals. It'll get me into it. And then when they saw somebody was using a different cup, they were like, that's wrong. And not everybody's like that, but it's understandable that people would get attached to the cups they're using for the tea or the coffee. But if we can just focus on, am I drinking the tea that I'm supposed to be drinking? Is it loving? Then it doesn't really matter what the ritual is. So that's what Maureen was saying about, like, are you a Christian? Wonderful. If not, also wonderful. It has more to do with if you are letting yourself, speaking of the exchange and giving and receiving, are you here to receive love? Because God wants to love us, or love wants to love us. But a lot of us, sort of put resistance up without maybe realizing it. So yeah, I love this all these thoughts in the chat. This is a really nice topic.
Oh, thanks for that analogy, Jack. That I never heard it like that before, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, are you drinking from a thimble or a Starbucks cup? It's like, what does it matter? Does it matter? It's all God. And our dogma at Speakeasy is love is our religion, care is our currency, peace is our goal. That's as dogmatic as we get. If you can live under that umbrella, you're going to be fine here. It was based on the 12-step community where, like, Jewish and Christian and agnostic could all sit in the same room, knee to knee and heart to heart. And I was thinking, why do you have to be busted to be in this room? This is fantastic to understand group consciousness and to make space for each other's, radical opinions that belie your own, and we can still live in harmony together. So this is what Speakeasy's, initial inspiration was. So I hope that's helpful. So we'll just move through this practice. Jerome asked me the other day, like, I think you should do more practices. So here's a practice for you to help maybe personalize the concepts that we're talking about. Take a moment to sit with your feet on the floor and just begin to notice your breath, and maybe even take the deepest, most luxurious breath that you've taken yet today. And we'll just move through a couple of breaths together just to fully anchor yourself in this self-care, in this soul care. And take a look at one of those things that you might not want to look at, those things that you do not prefer. Maybe those fears or those concerns or those illusions of lack. And with your breath, just begin to recognize that this is just a thought. It's not a truth. And with the exhale, we're just going to let that go. It's interesting, but we're going to let it go. And if there are a few breaths that come to you, if you need a few breaths to really completely relinquish this thought, almost like you're washing a chalkboard with a wet towel, and you're just washing away this old story. And it's perfectly okay for you to wash away this old story with your breath. With every exhale, let it go. Say, I forgive myself for hosting this story that has never served me and has never served God. I just forgive myself for letting go of this story, and I do this on behalf of myself and for everyone in the world. And then begin to feel your body in this room. Feel your body and the mechanisms of your body, the way that your chest rises and falls, the temperature of the air on your skin, the magnificent mechanism that you live in. And just give thanks for this beautiful body, which is in this meditation being used as a doorway to the presence. Let yourself come to this present moment. Remember, all creativity happens in the present moment. And first we had to just clear away some of the blocks to this present moment, and now we're in the present moment. And in this present moment, now that I freed myself from this old story, just affirm a little bit. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I allow love to inform my mind. I allow love even to take that which I have now excused and to begin to build in its place an image of the highest outcome in regards to that fear that I once held. What could be the highest outcome? How could I see this idea as innocent and restored? How can I see this in a kinder light? Are there people in my realm of knowledge that actually embody this new story? Are they not like lighthouses for me? And in this acceptance of this new story, see again if you can anchor that in your body. Maybe you feel it in your heart. Maybe you feel it in your solar plexus. Maybe you feel it in the back of your neck. Maybe you feel it in the curving of your smile. And as you begin to entertain this new welcoming thought, begin to allow that to grow and refuse to let those past ideas limit the holy imagination of God in you. Let all those postcards and images of God come to you. And imagine how that holier outcome could actually benefit the world. How this blessing could heal and help your family. How this blessing and this new version of the story could heal and help your community. How this blessing and this new story could heal and help your joyful anticipation of an even greater good to those who have more is given. And now imagine that that idea comes with the mechanism of taking it to full form. You need do nothing. You need do nothing for now until you're inspired to know what to do. But just make a commitment to yourself and now eradicate all ideas that do not serve the expansive nature of my God, the most helpful version of my God. And maybe seal that with a deep breath. Take that in with a big, beautiful, bountiful breath. And just notice with the ability to breathe deeply, nobody is judging you for how much air you're taking in. You are the blessed child of God. There is infinite resources for you, proven to you by this idea of air. There is no reason to play small. There is nothing to fear. You were born to make manifest the glory of God. And we just know that this idea is being witnessed and interwoven with every other soul here in this community. And so you're not doing this alone. You're being held in this tapestry of love. And so we give thanks for these miracles that are unfolding by the right of our consciousness. And we give thanks for them and we release them into the action of the law, the personal and the impersonal, that always says, yes, my beloved. Yes, 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 yes. I bring you blankets and bracelets and scarves, down comforters. I bring you wisdom and teachers. I bring you flowers and snow for your benevolence. And so it is. Amen. Amen. All right. I fulfilled my duties. My brother, Jerome, has asked me to do something that sounded outrageous, but I did it. And now we get to have a beautiful week.
Yep.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Oh, this was a blast. Thanks, everybody.
God bless.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Come back next week, Hurricane.
I